Shots have been fired in Ferguson in the U.S. state of Missouri. Now that is where hundreds of people are demonstrating to mark 1 year since an unarmed black teenager was killed by a white police officer. These are live pictures coming to you from Ferguson, where Michael Brown was killed last year. The shooting led to months of protests and sparked a national debate about the treatment of minorities by U.S. police. Let's get the latest now from Kristen Salumi, who joins us live from Ferguson. Kristen, what more can you tell us about reports of shots being fired at the demonstration?
Well, we know that a small group of demonstrators were out on the streets this evening, not unlike last night and other nights. Reports from the local police say that at most there were 100 people on the street. The crowd had started to thin out, but there was a small group of very aggressive protesters who were blocking West Florissant Avenue, which is a main thoroughfare and was the scene a year ago of looting and riots after the death of Michael Brown. So this group had moved into the street, had been blocking traffic. Police had ordered them several times to leave the street, and they refused. But police had not acted to forcibly remove them. They were toe-to-toe, literally a couple feet away from a line of protesters. So you had a line of police with their shields and their helmets on because they had also been items thrown at them earlier in the evening, and a lot of demonstrators taunting them. But police said that it had been peaceful, that there were some aggressive comments and some things thrown, but for the most part, the majority of people had been peaceful. And the crowd had started to dwindle, and then there were reports of shots fired, as many as a dozen or more shots fired. We don't know at this time. There was a report on one local news station that there was a victim, not a fatality, but someone who was struck. That has not been confirmed by police at this time. It's a very active scene, a lot of confusion. Clearly, police are spreading out, looking for the gunmen in this case. There are a lot of police on the street. Ferguson police are in charge of the scene. There are county police as well on the scene, and a lot of confusion. Needless to say, after the shots were fired, the crowd dispersed. People have been moving away, and police are efforting to clear the streets, but a number of police also have left to go and try to track down the gunmen or women, as the case may be.
Now, Kirsten, this particular shooting had sparked, as we mentioned earlier, national debate about police brutality, about how police treat minorities. Obviously, there's a lot of tension that's there on the streets of Ferguson at the moment. How are police reacting to these hundreds of people that have gathered there?
Well, as I said, they were very calm and very restrained. We've seen efforts in the last couple of days when small demonstrations have taken place, or memorial services and so on, where there were a lot of protesters. The police, in their regular clothes and their uniforms, not in riot gear, attempts to actually talk to people and engage. A lot of restraint on the part of police. They've heard the criticism that has been leveled at them in recent years, or in recent months, in the wake of the Michael Brown incident. And so they seem to be taking that to heart, but it was just a small group of protesters that seemed to be getting rowdy. And we don't know where those shots came from, by the way. Some reports suggest that it was from a car and people driving by, so we don't know if it was demonstrators, if it was just passersby, if it was police who fired those shots. Frankly, at this point, it's still under investigation, and we just don't know.
Kirsten, thank you for that update. Kirsten Salumi there, speaking to us from Ferguson, a year on after the shooting death of unarmed black teenager Michael Brown.